is actually my least favourite Matt Smith series, so yeah, let's get ready for some stinkers. Hello guys, welcome back to New Who HQ, I am Matt. We're up to Series 5. I've never ranked Series 5 in my life. If you've been around the channel for years, you will know that my series, which I've been doing, I've already done the first 4 series ranked in the past. But I redone them again just because I'm older and I'm wiser. So obviously I had different opinions. I've never done this before, never done Series 5, and overall I do not like Series 5 as much as 6 or 7. I do believe it is the weakest of Matt Smith's 3 seasons. It's a Series 5 theme top, if you like, on the back. Got some of the flowers from one of the famous paintings that Van Gogh did. Yeah, just a little Doctor Who hint there for you. If the TARDIS and all of the doctors behind me didn't already make that clear. So how this is going to go, we are going to rank from 10 to 1, because I count 2-parters as 1, so we have 10 to rank. And number 10, Hungry Earth and Cold Blood. Now, this episode is honestly very, very forgettable. What I like about it, and I think this is kind of just a Series 5 theme overall, is that it captures the theme of the episode, the vibe, the setting, locations used, the whole feel of how this should be, whatever time it's set in, very, very well. Now this hasn't really got a specific setting because it's kind of just a normal day, but we get this in the countryside and it's quite rural, not a lot of buildings, not really very well populated, which kind of gives us an eerie sort of feel, and the cold opening is really, really good. We're introduced to the family and the dad then gets sucked down the floor. So I think it starts off really, really well, but this is a really good example of a 2-parter that didn't need to be a 2-parter. It loses its footing quite quickly. I think the only thing that makes it not terrible is the characters. I do quite like the characters in this, even the side characters, and I am quite a big fan of the Silurians. I do think they're a really, really cool concept, but they have got better appearances, and I do think that Madame Vastra herself, representing her whole race, kind of does that justice. This isn't really needed, and it's very, very forgettable. Let's move up then to number 9. The Vampires of Venice. Yet again, this is quite a forgettable episode, to be really honest. I said I'm not a fan of Series 5. The reason why it's above Hungry Earth though is mainly because it's just a 1-parter, so I haven't got to sit for an hour and a half of it, just 45 minutes. But there are some good stuff in here. This, fantastic example of the setting. I think the vampires' design is really, really good. It's everyone's very, very nicely dressed, and then when we see the parts where they are vampires, they are quite menacing, quite scary. But this is what I remember most in this episode is the Doctor and Rory really having some interesting one-to-one conversations, and Rory really saying some quite outward things, stuff like, you know, you don't know what sort of harm you cause when you're around people, that type of thing, which does ring true, and it is kind of true. I think that doesn't mean the Doctor intends to hurt people. It's never intentional, but it just happens, and that's a really interesting dynamic that we work with. But let's move up then to number 8, Victory of the Daleks. Repeating myself again, the location here is amazing. Daleks, it's very rare that if Daleks are in a story, it's gonna be high up the list. It's pretty rare. Journey's End is the main example where that's probably the exception, but apart from that, yeah, I think I'm just bored of the Daleks. The whole Churchill thing and this kind of banter that specifically the 11th Doctor has with Churchill, I like. Some people don't, but I kind of like it. Now, whatever you think about Churchill, I'm not going to be speaking about, not making it political, okay, we're keeping politics out of it, but I think as a character in this show, I do think Churchill and the Doctor work quite well together, and it brings something new to the table, which I do quite like. There are some funny parts. I feel like I'm hating on it a little bit too much, where the Daleks are, would you like some tea, and the Doctor completely not just enraged. It kind of gives Dalek vibe back in Series 1 in parts, but Matt Smith does his own spin on it, and yeah, it isn't terrible. I think I think the threat is still good. I mean, the Daleks are always a threat, so it isn't bad in the whole war. I do like the war setting. I'm always a sucker for a war setting. I think that it was really played out very, very well. But number 7 is The Beast Below. Yes, this was kind of the first adventure that the Doctor and Amy had properly. It's different. There's no Daleks in it. It's a different new monster, and I think this was a bit of a celebration, not only with 11th Hour, but with The Beast Below. This is a completely new, fresh look for Doctor Who. At a very, very risky time where, you know, we didn't know if Matt Smith and this whole new era and Stephen Moffat was going to make this work. And these sort of episodes are bold because they're different and they're fresh and people aren't used to it. And I think it isn't exactly fantastic, but I don't think it's bad by any means. I think the end message brings it up the list. The kind of mannequins that are in the box thing, I think, are quite scary. Again, a really, really good cold open as well. Great little rhyme from the little girl as the boy goes down to in the lift to whatever level. Yeah, that's pretty good. But let's move up then to number 6. I don't know how controversial I'm being, but this one's definitely going to raise a few alarm bells. Is The 11th Hour. I've said a few times, I will admit, 11th Hour is overrated. Okay, that can be a completely separate video where I go on about that and get so much hate for that. This is bold. I think The Beast Below, I said, was the first kind of adventure away from all the introductions. Hi, I'm the Doctor, hi, I'm Amy, have some fish fingers and custard. This is the introduction. This is the first thing that everybody sees. And the hello, I'm Amy, hello, I'm the Doctor, would you like fish fingers and custard moments are really, really warm and fresh and new. And I think that people were sceptical. Okay, David Tennant wasn't massively well known, but people fell in love with him and he was reasonably well known. Matt Smith was never known. Now, I wasn't really around, well, I mean, I was alive, but I wasn't kind of like on it to know a lot about actors, so I had no idea who Matt Smith was. And I probably wouldn't have done even if I was my own age. I think there can be a lot of benefits for this, especially for him. This put him on the next stage, but also we didn't know what we was expecting from this Doctor, and it was completely different. Just the way he acts, the TARDIS reveal is amazing, and he gets his I am the Doctor moment, which I will admit was very, very special, and he did feel like the Doctor straight away, despite being so different. 11th Hour does do that well. The actual story is kind of weak. The Prisoner Zero has escaped. I think that is quite weak, but again, I'm just remembering that this was the introduction. This was basically a whole new era for the show, and the introductions, the characters really drove this. And as I've said, there are better opening stories, but for this ranking, it holds up pretty well up in midway. But let's move up then to number 5, The Lodger. I do love The Lodger. We're getting into the ones that I am liking quite a bit, and The Lodger is, I feel like, a little bit underrated. I feel like because there is a lot of hate on James Corden, it's kind of, people don't really like this because of that. I think in this is fantastic. Now I haven't watched Gavin and Stacey. I don't really watch anything else that James Corden is in apart from this, and obviously his later on appearances down the line in the show. Moving away from the show, I haven't seen him in anything, so I quite like him in this. And there's laid back moments which I really, really like. I like the whole lodger, tenant and thing going on with the Doctor. Great cold opening yet again, and it's a niche. It's an original idea to have people living upstairs. They're not really living upstairs, but they are, and I think that's a cool concept which is played around really nicely. And then you've also got, I can't remember his actual character name, but James Corden slowly finding out that the Doctor is not just a random human, he's an absolute weirdo, and I love that. I love the little moments in this, and I think that's really, really special. But number 4 is The Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone. Well, I had a lot of riding on it because whilst other episodes have been very original and brought something new to Doctor Who, this episode, as soon as everybody saw the angels, they're like, right, can this be like Blink? Can this beat Blink? And whilst I'll admit now it does not beat Blink, it yet again makes it feel new. And there are little hints, we are told stuff that we already know, but we see different things. And I think having this 2-parter, having the army, having, of course, I'll get onto amazing with a song in a second. But I think the actual Angels, there are repeats of what we know about them, but finding out new stuff, seeing them in a new environment. And this is, I mean, Stephen Moffat does revisit this later on down the line and does something even more different with them. This doesn't beat Blink, but it certainly holds up pretty well. River Song is amazing in this, of course. This is her second appearance. Yeah, it's her second appearance. Apologise, I'm sure it is, yeah, it is. So I'm watching Doctor Who in out of order, so her timeline is out of order. So in my mind, I never know what her first appearance actually is. But yes, I believe this is her second appearance, first time with Matt Smith. She's in a lot with Matt Smith, and I think they got on really, really well here, because I thought DT, David Tennant and River had great chemistry, so Matt brought that as well. I think Matt felt, I keep saying their first name, the 11th Doctor felt comfortable in his role, and I think that was really, really good. And I've not mentioned Rory, I really apologise, I love Rory so much. Let's move up then to number 3, the Pandorica opens and the Big Bang. Yeah, this finale is wishy-washy, but the good things in this are good, and there's no real bad. It's kind of just, good, and then it gets really good. Its live is really, really good. So that's what makes it so high up this list. Rory the Roman, there we go, we can speak about that. Yeah, this two-parter offers a lot. It's a very packed up finale. There's a lot going on in it. Now I know about series 6 and 7, I'm kind of thinking this finale is kind of probably the best out of the 3, to be honest with you. So I think overall it's a pretty good series, but I'm aware of time. Let's move up then to number 2, and it is Vincent and the Doctor. This is often number 1 for many, many people, and I like this episode a lot. Firstly, Vincent van Gogh, very, very well played. This probably captures the best feel, vibe, theme, location of Vincent van Gogh's time. How they deal with his depression in a Doctor Who way, how they portray that on screen, I think is very cleverly done. I love it when Doctor Who takes events that have happened but twist it for a Doctor Who way, or stuff that is known around media culture, like zombies, for example, with Waters of Mars, and turning it into a more original Doctor Who way. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Can't argue that it does try new things. I can't not mention the ending scene. I think it's a beautiful scene. I really, really like it. It has made me cry. It's very, very emotional and feels deserved, and it's kind of just a little kind of thank you to Van Gogh for everything that he's done. But there is a hint of sadness that he doesn't know what he's achieved. He doesn't, a bit like Agatha Christie in Unicorn and the Wasp, they never truly know how far they go, and that people do remember them, they don't forget them. And we see that, and it's beautiful, and I think it's really, really good. But it's not my number 1, and this one, I'm afraid, as much as I do like Vincent and the Doctor, this one does absolutely win by a landslide, and that is Amy's Choice. This was a really tricky, well thought out, well executed episode, which set in a very boring town, for some parts of course, where we see 2 different worlds, one with the boring old town and one on the TARDIS. And the Dream Lord, which I don't know why he's not been brought back. I think the Dream Lord is an amazing concept. I love people that rival the Doctor, and the Dream Lord is someone that rivals the Doctor very, very well, and it generally is really hard to guess which world is real. It's full of twists. We see Rory getting killed in the world that Amy thought was real, where she's pregnant and they're in a lovely little cottage, all's is happy, and then it's just on the TARDIS going towards an ice planet. So bouncing back in between that and slowly running down the clock, and we know what's going to happen at 0. So they have to make their decision, and it's a pressuring episode. It's very, very well done and rememberable, original. That's what I like from series 5. So I think overall, yeah, I think maybe it's a bit harsh at the start. Now I'm really thinking about it, I don't think this series is bad. I still do believe it's the weakest out of the 3 of Matt Smith's, no offence. and often, I believe I did do a overall series ranking from New Who. This was quite low, this was like probably 10th or 9th. So it doesn't hold up the best, but Amy's Choice I do think it could possibly be up there with my top 10 best episodes of Doctor Who ever. So make of that what you will. If you're new to the channel and you'd like to subscribe, that'd be absolutely amazing. I've tried to not speak as much to make the video a little bit shorter. If you'd like to give this video a like, that'd be absolutely fantastic, and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon.